to turn the page on a decade of Donald Trump trying to keep us divided and afraid of each other. We're done with that. We're done.
But on Tuesday, you have to stand up and tell Harris that you've had enough. You can't take it anymore. You're the worst vice president in the history of our country.
ENN's Fiona McAllister has the presidential race updates for you tonight. Our Charlotte Fabi will update you on local elections from the Board of Education all the way to the Alamance County Board of Commissioners. And Abby Gravely will interview live guests and give social media recaps. With several reporters in the field, we will update you all night long. It all starts right now. Thank you for joining us for ENN Election Center. I'm Abigail Hines. Tonight, ENN will produce two 45-minute segments. We are focusing on results for local, state, and national races for both major parties. But there are third-party and unaffiliated candidates on the ballot in Alamance County for 6 different races. Third-party candidates have impacted the results of races in recent elections, including the 2016 presidential race. But no third-party candidate has won the presidency since 1856. Let's start by checking in on ENN's Olivia Berger, who is at Elon Elementary School, one of Alamance County's 39 polling locations. Olivia, what have you seen so far tonight?
Thank you, Abigail. I'm here at Elon Elementary School, which is one of Alamance County's polling locations. As mentioned, there are 39 polling locations in Alamance County. Alamance County is divided into 2 districts. The town of Elon and Elon University are represented by North Carolina House District 63, while Southern Alamance County is located in District 64. However, Elon University is actually split into 2 different precincts, and students looking to vote can go to the North Carolina Board of Elections polling place. You can search their website to check where your polling location should be, and you should do that before coming out to the polls. We've seen a steady but small flow of voters since arriving here just a few hours ago, and there are still some making their way in now. Polls have been open since 6:30 this morning and will close at 7:30 p.m. That means voting will close in about 30 minutes from now, so there is still time to vote. North Carolina State Board of Elections states if you are already in line by 7:30, you will be able to cast your ballot. So if you're at home watching, still debating if you should come and vote, as long as you are in line by 7:30, you will be able to do so. If you've not voted yet, remember that you will need to show your ID when you check in to vote. Since 2023, photo ID has been required to cast your ballot, so make sure you have an acceptable photo ID. Some acceptable forms include a North Carolina driver's license, a North Carolina state ID, a U.S. passport or passport card, a North Carolina voter photo identification card, or a college or university student ID approved by the State Board of Elections. Many people here are eager to see how North Carolina will play its part in the national outcome. North Carolina has 16 electoral votes and has historically been known as a swing state. It may be a defining factor in who wins the presidential election tonight. Voters are also anxiously waiting to see how the election will affect their own home state. For those watching at home, you can expect updates on the early results shortly after the polls close tonight, but remember, some races may be too close to call right away, and patience will be key. Reporting live from Elon Elementary, I'm Olivia Berger. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Olivia. As the polls opened this morning, members of the local Elon community went to vote at First Baptist Church of Elon. I went to speak to some of these voters this morning and have more on what they had to say. Starting this morning at 6:30, local community members cast their ballots at First Baptist Church of Elon.
We're excited. It's election day.
As voters walked in to cast their votes, campaign signs dotted their paths. Candidate for Alamance County Board of Commissioners, Carissa Graves, stopped by the polling location.
So I'm checking on all the polls. This is an exciting day. I got a lot of volunteers out here. We're going to try to make this thing happen.
Voters were also met by local community members and officials handing out voter guides and information.
I'm here with the Alamance County Democrat Party, and I'm passing out the Democrat sample ballot and the candidates that were endorsed by the Democrats.
For some voters, the voting experience wasn't only for them.
I promised my grandson, because we'd been talking a lot about voting and things of that and how important it is. So since he was off school today for teacher work day, we decided to come and then go have some breakfast together.
According to Pew Research, about 8 in 10 registered voters say the economy will be very important to their vote in the 2024 presidential election. For Catherine Edwards, it's one of the most important factors in her vote.
Our economy is really bad, and I'd like to see some improvements again.
Elon students also visited the polls this morning, like Elon senior Ryan Elad, the president of Elon College Democrats.
I'm out here today voting with the intention of trying to help prevent that decay of democracy and help ensure that the American experiment can continue on.
Charlotte Fabi, ENN Tonight. Many of the voters at First Baptist Church of Elon also stressed the importance of voting for local candidates.
With us tonight in studio is our Fiona McAllister. Fiona, who are some of the candidates we can be looking out for?
Thanks so much, Abigail. Tonight we'll be seeing possibly two of the most popular faces in politics right now and their fight for this presidential spot. Right now, Kamala Harris is currently the 49th Vice President of the United States and the Democratic nominee, but has been working hard on her campaign for presidency since July. She says a big part of her life is coming from the middle class, so she plans to work on cutting taxes for middle-class Americans. Being able to strengthen Medicare and supporting abortion rights are important policies Harris plans to put forward if elected into office. And over here we have the 45th President of the United States and Republican nominee Donald Trump. When Trump was in office, his notable policies were beginning the U.S.-Mexico border wall and implementing tax cuts. He also appointed 3 Supreme Court justices. For the future, he'll be focusing hard on deportation, no tax on tips, and a huge one, inflation. Now for the House of Representatives, District 9, we have Nigel William Bristow in North Carolina candidates, the House Representatives. In District 9, we will be seeing this New York Democrat Nigel Bristow and Republican Richard Hudson fighting for this seat. Bristow looks to raise the minimum wage and codifying Roe v. Wade, meaning to create a federal law with the same principles of the original court case. Hudson, on the other hand, who was first elected in 2013 and is chairman for the National Republican Congressional Committee, is working to cut federal spending and support veterans. Now for Attorney General, we'll be seeing Jeff Jackson in the Democratic spot and Dan Bishop in the Republican spot. Bishop represented North Carolina's 8th District in the House of Representatives and worked as a state senator. One pressing issue Bishop made and his name known with was authoring the 2016 bathroom bill, a policy that requires people to use the bathroom based on their biological sex on their birth certificate. And Jackson represents North Carolina's 14th District in the House of Representatives. Along with being in state senate for 8 years, he aims to combat the fentanyl epidemic and wants to reform the redistricting process to avoid gerrymandering districts. Now for North Carolina State Senate District 25, we'll be seeing Donna Van Hook, who is actually a 2007 Elon alum, and Amy Galey running the Republican spot. She's a supporter of public school funding and sponsored the Parents' Bill of Rights, which means that from kindergarten to 4th grade, any child with a pronoun or name changes that tells their teacher this information, the teacher must let that child's parents know. In her past term, Galey secured funding for her district for the 2021 to 2022 budget. Her opponent is actually class of 2007 Elon alum Donna Van Hook. Van Hook is running for the Democratic Party and is the county's soil and water district supervisor. She wants to do away with the private voucher system and instead put more funding toward public schools. In an opposite fashion of her rival, Van Hook is looking to repeal the Parents' Bill of Rights. Now for House of Representatives District 64, running, we will be seeing LaVon Barnes and Dennis Riddle. LaVon will be running in the Democratic spot and Riddle will be running in the Republican spot. So Riddle is running for the 7th term and is looking to lower income taxes and protect the Second Amendment. He hopes to organize a convention of states, meaning that the states can propose amendments for the U.S. Constitution, and the Democratic candidate is LaVon Barnes. Barnes is previously ran for 2 positions in Durham County but lost both. Barnes supports funding for public schools and abortion rights. He is also against funding vouchers and for students to attend private schools. Now in the House of Representatives, District 63, we will be seeing Robin Winterham and Stephen Ross. So Robin Winterham is on the Democratic side and Ross is on the Republican. So both are Elon alum, with Winterham being an Elon Law alum. First time running for Winterham for office, she looks to provide affordable housing and improve local public schools. With no clear stance on gun control, she still wants to provide better mental health counseling in schools to prevent the risk of school shootings. And Ross, who is an Elon alum, is represented District 63 from 2013 to 2021. He sponsored the Shalom Act, which includes critiques of Israel within the definition of anti-Semitism. Along with the Shalom Act, Ross has previously sponsored legislation legislation that looks to develop human trafficking training. That's all I have on these candidates so far. We'll be checking back in with you later with more updates as the night goes on.
Elon's South Gym has been a popular voting location for students and Alamance County locals alike. ENN's Alice Morrissey spoke to the poll workers responsible for keeping things running smoothly as ballots are being placed.
We believe in, always helping out. We believe in diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so what better way to volunteer and to help my fellow man out than doing something like this?
Around 1 million people have volunteered at polling locations nationwide, according to an estimate from the United States AmericanProcess.org. With a variety of roles, from assisting voters to helping people register and providing general information, these volunteers are at the center of a successful election.
We hand out sample ballots, Democratic sample ballots, to people that would like them and explain the ballot to them and help them, give them some voter education. So not how to vote, but the process of voting.
With the South Gym polling location being located on Elon's campus, it serves as a homecoming for some volunteers.
I'm a political science major from Elon back in the Stone Age.
Alan Page graduated from Elon with the class of '81, even running for State House as a senior. After recently retiring from a career in politics, Page hopes his work at the polls will encourage young people to get involved.
They should do it. They should show the interest, because they have no one to blame but themselves if they don't get active. Either liberal, conservative, whatever. Everybody should be active.
Alice Morrissey, ENN Tonight.
10 minutes away, both Alamance County Republicans and Alamance County Democrats are hosting watch parties for the community. ENN's Kathan Gandhi and Mackenzie Cruz are at the watch party seeing how they were planned.
Yeah, thanks, Abigail. Right now I'm calling from outside the Alamance County Republican Watch Party, just currently at Cadillac Ranch in Burlington, North Carolina. Now, Elon News Network did not receive permission to report from inside the watch party, so we might not be hearing from the Alamance Republicans tonight. What I can tell you is that those Republicans have been doing a lot of work over the past few months in preparation for the election today. That's things like rallying to grow support for local candidates, raising political awareness amongst young first-time Alamance County voters, and welcoming multiple statewide Republican candidates, including Dan Bishop, who is running for NC Attorney General. And the last big push before Election Day, the party brought Mark Robinson to Elon's very own Ace Speedway on Sunday, November 3rd, in an event called Rally to Victory. Alamance Republicans hope that these types of buzzer-beater events will help pave the path to success and push additional Republican candidates like NC Secretary of State nominee Chad Brown and NC Superintendent nominee Michelle Morrow across the finish line. After all that work is completed now, all these members can do is sit at the ranch and wait, looking to see those efforts pay off tonight. I'm Kathan Gandhi reporting live from outside the Alamance County Republican Party watch party. Now let's kick it over to Mackenzie Cruz.
Thank you, Kathan. I'm reporting live from the Democratic Watch Party here in downtown Burlington. It's hosted by the Alamance County Democratic Party here at Occasions Restaurant. There are about 130 people set to attend once the polls close. We'll be keeping up with the Democratic candidate for the presidential election, Kamala Harris, as well as more local races such as Josh Stein for North Carolina Governor, Nigel Bristow for North Carolina House of Reps 9th District, Rachel Hunt for Lieutenant Governor, Jeff Jackson for Attorney General, and more. Alamance County Democrats has been very involved with this campaign. For the past few months, they've gone canvassing door to door, registering voters, and educating citizens about issues important to them. Its website and headquarters in downtown Burlington are great resources for voter registration, absentee ballot information, volunteering opportunities, and more. ACDP has also been very active with Elon students. They had events such as Walk to the Polls, where they walked Elon students from Alamance Fountain to South Gym for an early voting location. Elon News Network also attended an event on October 19th at their headquarters where they had phone banking, where volunteers called voters to discuss the campaign they support, get donations, and register more volunteers. Josh Stein also attended this event to encourage volunteers and discuss policy issues if he were to be elected governor. I'm here with Heidi Norwick, a volunteer for the ACDP. Heidi, why is being involved here at the watch party important to you?
Well, volunteering for the Democratic Party is important to me. I've lived in Alamance County almost 32 years. I've seen a lot in this county, and I think we have a lot of things we can change. And I was just pleased that I had the time to be able to give.
That's awesome. And how has the ACDB been a useful resource for this election season?
Oh, it's been tremendous. From giving, signs out, we have people canvassing, writing postcards, and it's a central hub where anybody that is interested in helping, they can come to the office or go to our website, and it's just been a phenomenal response.
That's awesome. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Just that I love my county, I love the people here, and I'm excited for tonight's results.
Awesome. Thank you so much for speaking with me. I'm live from the Democratic Watch Party. It's Mackenzie Cruz. And let's hear from Abby Hines back in the studio.
No vehicle, no problem. Elon students can still get to polling locations via the Elon Votes shuttle program located in the Center for the Arts. Currently, 14 students have taken the shuttle. Allison Durand, Elon Votes Director of Outreach, says the program is important for helping Elon students utilize their right to vote.
14 people today, then we did our mission. If we only served one, then that's great. If 100 more people show up, that's awesome. I know a lot of students voted early. I know a lot voted by mail, and I know quite a few people that took their own vehicles to the polls today. So it's just important that we're here and we're present, and we're getting rid of any barrier that keeps students from going to vote.
Shuttles are free of charge to students and are open until 8 p.m. tonight. As ballots are being cast, there are dozens of local elections underway. ENN's Charlotte Fabi is here in studio to give you all you need to know for these local elections.
Thanks, Abigail. Throughout the night, I'll be keeping you updated on key local races, including the highly watched election for the Alamance Burlington School System Board of Education. This year, a lot of focus is on how candidates for the Board of Education plan to address the lingering deficit from the mold crisis that disrupted the start of the 2023 school year. 32 of its 36 schools were affected by mold, and with the district still reeling from this financial impact of the crisis, the candidates are all proposing different solutions to get the system out of debt. The Board of Education is made up of 7 total members and currently has 4 open seats, but there are 8 candidates that are vying for those 4 positions. Among the incumbents running for re-election are Board Chair Sandy Ellington Graves, Donna Davis Westbrook, and Seneca Rogers. They're facing off against some fresh faces in the race, including Tamika Harvey, Peter Morcombe, Tara Raggett, and Corey Shepard and Avery Wagner. Wagner, who previously ran for the ABSS board in 2022 but did not win, is making another bid this year. His campaign is centered around the idea of ensuring that no child is left behind, a slogan he uses to highlight his commitment to improving educational opportunities for all students. Meanwhile, Corey Shepard is also a first-time candidate and has been vocal about her concerns with current district policies. She argues that the emphasis on diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI, is hindering teachers' ability to do their jobs effectively. Shepard believes that in order to get ABSS out of its current $3.5 million deficit, she would prioritize cutting administrative roles rather than reducing teaching staff or academic programs. I will continue to update you with what you need to know about this race as it develops, but for now, that's all I have. Back to you at the desk.
Elon University is part of a national study known as the National Study of Learning, Voting, and Engagement. The NSLVE provides universities with a variety of information regarding voting rates of students. Let's take a look at the numbers from the last presidential election. The voting rate is the percentage of eligible students who cast their ballots. In 2020, Elon University's voting rate was 74%, while the average institutional voting rate was only 66%. Compared to 2016, Elon's voting rate increased by 25.2 percentage points, which is equivalent to about 1,850 students. Another category they look at is the voting method. In 2016, Elon University reported 11 in-person early voters. In 2020, that number rose to 735. The North Carolina State Board of Elections has already reported an increase in early voting numbers across the state for this year's election. More than 4.2 million voters in North Carolina cast their ballot during the in-person voting period, which ended Saturday. By contrast, only 3.6 million North Carolinians voted early in 2020. Each report is released about 18 months after the election, so you can expect to see this elections report in May of 2026. North Carolina has two candidates running for governor: Republican candidate North Carolina Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson and Democratic candidate North Carolina Attorney General Josh Stein. ENN's Nia Bedard is joining us live from City Club Raleigh, where Mark Robinson is making an appearance tonight. Nia, has the event started? Thanks for the update, Nia. We'll be back to you shortly. We apologize for the technical difficulties. With our current lieutenant governor in the race for governor, there are two new candidates running to fill his spot. Lieutenant governor is the second highest elected official in North Carolina. It's also the only elected official to have powers in both the legislative and executive branches of state government. Lieutenant Governor serves as president of the State Senate and is a member of the State Board of Education. When it comes to our candidates, policies on schools and education are highly discussed. Republican candidate Hal Weatherman previously served as Chief of Staff for Lieutenant Governor Dan Forest. According to his website, Weatherman believes schools should be less concerned with advancing cultural agendas and more focused on teaching life skills. Weatherman also says he wants to promote economic growth in all areas of the state by supporting North Carolina companies. Democratic candidate Rachel Hunt has previously served in the North Carolina House of Representatives and more recently the North Carolina Senate. According to her website, Hunt prioritizes investing in public schools and advocating for women, children, and families by making childcare and healthcare more affordable. We will continue to give updates on this race as more results come in. And we are sending it back to Nia Bedard.
Thank you, Abigail. As you can see, I am here in City Club in downtown Raleigh, where current Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson is holding a watch party for the gubernatorial race, which will determine if North Carolina achieves a state government trifecta with supermajority. This occurs when one political party holds the governorship and two-thirds majority in the State House and State Senate. Robinson was elected as Lieutenant Governor during the 2020 election and announced his campaign in Elon, North Carolina just a year and a half ago. Prior to Robinson becoming Lieutenant Governor, he served in the United States Army Reserve. According to an Eastern Carolina University poll that was released on November 4th, Robinson is polling 15% behind Democrat candidate and Attorney General Josh Stein, who has been polling higher than Robinson since Labor Day. A spokesperson for the Robinson campaign, Matt Hurley, said that this will be a closer race than polls are predicting, and brought up how difficult North Carolina is historically a difficult state to predict election outcomes for. Robinson made a stop in Elon on November 3rd, where he encouraged his supporters to vote Republican down the ballot, saying, "The people are tired of this. They are tired of the brokenness, they're tired of the status quo, and they are tired of sticker book politicians like Josh Stein." Robinson also spent today traveling to polling locations across the Triad and Triangle to drum up support for him on Election Day. If Robinson is elected tonight, he will be the first Black person to serve as North Carolina's governor. Throughout his campaign, Robinson has been advocating for cutting taxes for all North Carolinians, a 6-week abortion ban with exceptions for rape and incest, and reducing violent crime in North Carolina. Here at City Club, there are very few people in the top room where I'm currently located. There are around 20 people located in an outside room wearing their Mark Robinson gear and awaiting the Lieutenant Governor to give his speech of victory or secession. Polls are still currently open and will be open in North Carolina till at the latest 8 p.m. No call has been made yet in this election.
Thanks, Nia, for the update. From Instagram to X, Abby Gravely now joins us in the newsroom to discuss how the social media world is reacting to the night. Abby, what have you seen so far?
Thank you, Abigail. As you can see here behind me, there is a lot going on social media this evening as candidates are posting. This is in line with a lot of what we've been seeing so far in this election cycle, where candidates are posting on social media a lot of times to get out that youth vote. We have seen this with the 3 TikTok accounts that Kamala Harris's campaign holds, as well as the 1 that Donald Trump's campaign holds. So what we're seeing right now is a lot of final reminders to vote and reminders from candidates to stay in line when those polls close, because if you are in line, you can stay in line. There's also some final appeals to maybe undecided voters from some of our, especially third-party candidates, such as Jill Stein of the Green Party right here. Throughout this evening, we've also been seeing celebrity endorsements through social media. Kamala Harris is endorsed by celebrities including Taylor Swift, Beyonce, and Oprah, who posted earlier today that she cast her ballot for Kamala Harris. Donald Trump, on the other hand, is endorsed by celebrities such as Elon Musk, Dr. Phil, and Jake Paul, who posted a 20-minute YouTube video about urging his audience to vote for Donald Trump. That's all I have for you right now. Now back to you in the desk.
Their vote for the first time. And stay tuned for ENN's voter focus group with different perspectives from 3 students.
I've seen violence. I have seen straight up blatant disrespect and being rude towards people just for having a different view than themselves.
You can take Link Transit to Burlington, Graham, Mebane, Gibsonville, or within Elon. Elon University students and staff can ride Link Transit for free after showing an Elon ID. Blue Route 3 comes by every 90 minutes Monday through Friday with certain hours on Saturdays. And for more information on Link Transit, please call 336-222-5465 or visit the Link Transit website.
Whether it's our stories, the warmth of our laugh, or our family's secret sauce, we all bring something different to the table. So make some space. The power of connection is waiting right outside your comfort zone. Learn how you can help strengthen your community at belongingbeginswithus.org/teamup.
There's only one thing that will save somebody's life, and that is naloxone nasal spray. Get 911 on the phone, get the emergency responses there on their way.
Once Upon a Time is right now. Escape to the Renaissance Festival, a time-traveling adventure. Saturdays and Sundays, October 5th through November 24th. There's music, comedy, circus entertainments, jousting, nights, the living mermaids, and a feast all rolled into a non-stop outdoor family adventure. Tickets limited while supplies last. Online only at renfestinfo.com.
Hate is loud, but love is the majority.
For most Elon students, this is their first time voting in a presidential election. Olivia Berger was at the early voting location at South Gym to find out why first-time voters were eager to cast their ballot.
Early voting occurred October 17th to November 2nd. During this time, many college students were having the experience of voting for the first time.
I feel like it's really important that young voices are heard because it's the next generation and we're the ones who are being impacted the most with this new voting season because we're the ones that are gonna grow up with these new leaders, and I feel like getting your voice heard is really important, especially at a young age.
Elon Votes is a nonpartisan campus program designed to equip students with the resources they need to register and vote in upcoming elections. They held voter registration drives across campus and open office hours throughout the semester for people to ask questions.
I think
it was really influential, especially knowing people on Elon Votes and having that sort of connection of, okay, hey, I know you. They would say, hey, come sign up to register to vote, and it would be easy and seamless.
I got registered with Elon Votes, and they made like the whole process super seamless, and like it literally just took like 10 minutes to just drive here and like vote, and so it's super easy.
College students are not the only ones experiencing the voting process for the first time. One voter, Ifoma Ode, received her citizenship in 2020, making this her first time eligible to vote in a presidential election.
I guess I swore it's my civic duty that I have to perform, so I'm doing it. It's the right thing to do. It's a privilege. There are countries people are not able to vote, so hey, you have it. Let your voice be known.
Olivia Berger, ENN Tonight.
It is now 7:30 p.m. and polls have closed. Let's take a look at the Elon polling location and talk to Olivia Berger about what's happened. Olivia, can you give us an update?
Thanks, Abigail. It's now 7:31 and polls are now closed in North Carolina, except for two precincts, one in Burke County and one in Wilson County. AP News reported at 4:54 p.m. that two precincts were having technical problems and they will now be closing at 8 p.m. Voters at the Wilson County precinct were unable to cast ballots for almost an hour and a half because a print needed to generate voter authorization malfunctioned. Burke County experienced a 30 to 40-minute computer problem with an official poll book laptop. The state board will not publish unofficial results from Burke and Wilson counties until voting ends. Results from North Carolina's other 98 counties, including Alamance, can be reported at normal closing time. I'm currently here with Bev, who is a precinct captain for the Democratic Party. Bev, tell me, why did you choose to volunteer your time today?
I think I chose to volunteer because there is so much, we feel there is so much at stake in this election, more than any other election. I'm 65 years old, more than any other election that I can think of.
What work have you done today, as well as in the past few weeks, to get ready for Election Day? And what have you done today?
Well, I'll start a couple weeks ago. I wrote 270 postcards, and actually about 200 of them went for a person who's running for senator in Ohio, where I'm originally from. I've delivered food on the last early voting day. I delivered food today. I did souls to the polls. I took someone out to snow camp, which is about the opposite side of this county. And then, I put up all the, as poll chair, I put up all the signs last night for the Democratic Party. Then my husband and I were here at 6 o'clock to get the table and the material out, and then that's taking the signs down now.
How has the voter outcome been this year, and what have you seen?
Well, we know that the voting count for North Carolina, early voting, was amazing. In fact, higher than the total vote at least 2 years ago. I may be wrong, about 4 years ago. But so I've been told that it's been fairly steady, but nothing like early voting really accommodated so many different people that we had the majority there. So today wasn't quite as busy.
How are you feeling now that the polls are closed?
Probably mixed. I don't want to begrudge anything or anyone, but I don't want to come out and say that Kamala has won, because I'm afraid I will jinx it, as silly as that sounds.
And how has the election personally affected you?
My grandchildren are biracial. Even though I am a white middle-class woman, if 2025, along with Donald Trump, comes into power, then so many of us will be impacted, and especially people of more marginal communities and ethnicities.
Thank you so much, Bev. That's all I have for you right now. Back to you guys in the studio.
ENN Charlotte Fabi is here to give us a rundown on the local candidates from the Alamance County Board of Commissioners. Charlotte, why are these candidates running for a seat?
Yeah, thanks, Abby. Well, the Board of Commissioners does hold key responsibilities, and they adopt the annual budget and set the tax rate for the county. However, this just in, with 0 out of 39 precincts reported, David Barber ran uncontested for Alamance County Register of Deeds, and Elon News Network projects him as the winner of this race. Back to the current Board of Commissioners race, we also see that voters are deciding to either re-elect two incumbents or bring fresh perspectives, with 4 first-time candidates running for the board. Current commissioners running for re-election include John Paisley Jr. and Pamela Tyler Thompson. Paisley, a Republican and board chair, has been serving on the board since 2014. Although he ran unsuccessfully in his first attempt that same year, he was later elected in 2016 and is currently serving his 3rd term. An Elon University alum, Paisley focused on fiscal responsibility, particularly in the wake of the financial strain caused by the Alamance Burlington school system mold outbreak. Pamela Tyler Thompson, on the other hand, is also a Republican and is seeking re-election after first being elected to the board in 2020. Thompson has made her mark with efforts to support veterans and those struggling with addiction. During her time in office, Thompson played a key role in bringing the Alamance Behavioral Health Center to the county, which opened this summer and provides resources for individuals battling addiction. Thompson's platform continues to focus on mental health and recovery. In addition to the incumbents, 4 first-time candidates are also running: Carissa Graves, Chris Smith, Anthony Pierce, and Ed Priola. Priola, also a Republican, is running with a promise to cut property taxes and reduce spending within the Alamance Burlington school system, particularly in the aftermath of the mold outbreaks that have caused significant disruption and cost. Priola has stated that he would prioritize educators over administrators and has proposed eliminating end-of-year holiday bonuses as a part of his plans to refocus resources onto teaching. Carissa Graves, Chris Smith, and Anthony Pierce are also newcomers to local politics. Among them, Chris Smith, a Democrat, began attending Board of Commissioners meetings and school board meetings during the mold crisis, which he says shaped his views on improving the system's response to crises and better allocating resources. As we dive deeper into these local candidates, let's also take a look at what voting in Alamance County is looking like for this election. North Carolina is experiencing a historical surge in early voting for the 2024 election, setting a new turnout record according to preliminary data. From the State Board of Elections, they say that more than 4.2 million North Carolinians have cast their ballots during the early voting period, which ended on Saturday afternoon. Including absentee ballots, this represents a little less than 57% of the state's 7.8 million registered voters. Compared to the 2020 election, early voting has increased in North Carolina. In 2020, 3.6 million ballots were cast during that same early voting period. Over 3.2 million mail-in ballots were requested in North Carolina, and this surge in early voting is not unique to North Carolina because nationwide, early voting is also on the rise. Over 8 million mail-in ballots were cast. 80 million, mail-in ballots and early in-person ballots were cast across the United States as voters take advantage of expanded voting options ahead of the 2024 presidential election.
Concerns over the outcome of the general election are a hot topic of conversation. In a recent email from Elon Vice President for Student Life, John Dooley says Elon will have resources available for students after the election. However, for some Elon students, the results of the election aren't a major concern.
Anxiety over the election is an increasing trend among U.S. voters. A recent poll from the American Psychological Association found that the future of the nation is a significant source of stress for more than 7 in 10 adults. And around a third of adults said the current political climate causes strain for them and their family members. However, after speaking to some Elon students, the experience of voting for the first time overshadows many of their concerns.
It's nice just to be able to actually be like, hey, my voice was an impact on this election.
For Noah Malian, anxiety isn't high over the results of this election.
Just hearing people's thoughts on everything, I'm fairly confident people are going to make the right decision for our country and for the Constitution.
However, Malian says people should be more focused on local rather than national elections.
Down ballot and state elections matter a ton because those elections also affect people more directly at home.
For other students who live out of state, they chose to change their voter registration to vote in North Carolina, making their vote count whether they vote in or out of state.
Every vote counts no matter who it's for. I feel like you should get out there. If you have the opportunity, you should do it.
Charlotte Fabi, ENN Tonight.
The North Carolina State Senate District 25 and the North Carolina House of Representatives District 63 and 64 have 2 candidates campaigning. The U.S. House of Representatives District 9 has 3 candidates. ENN's Fiona McAllister is back in the studio to talk about 2 of their campaigns.
Thanks, Abigail. With 0 out of 39 precincts reported, Larry Brown Jr. ran uncontested for NC District Court Judge. District 17 seat 2, and ENN projects him as the winner of this race. And with 0 out of 39 precincts reported, Catherine Whitaker Overby ran uncontested for North Carolina District Court Judge. District 17 seat 4, and ENN projects her as the winner of this race. That's all I have for you. Now back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Fiona. We are now heading to the Josh Stein watch party with ENN's Monica Juravicius. Monica, seen tonight.
Hey Abigail, we're just getting started at the Stein campaign tonight as they're holding their watch party in Raleigh. This is starting to fill up with people who are waiting to see what the results will be tonight. According to an Elon University poll, Stein is currently ahead of his challenger, Mark Robinson, by 21 points. ENN reported at Kamala Harris's campaign stop in North Carolina on October 30th, where Stein talked about his political opponent and the Republican presidential candidate, Donald Trump, saying, and I quote, "Donald Trump and Mark Robinson's plan is one of violence, division, and hate. We want to build a better future. We choose hope over hate. We choose competence over chaos." Stein's professional career consists of being a lawyer, former state senator, and attorney general for North Carolina at the moment. Stein has proposed plans for the economy, which include raising minimum wage and implementing the working families tax cut, while also advocating for the LGBTQ+ communities. On October 19th, Josh Stein visited Alamance County Democratic Party in Burlington, focusing on public school funding. He said that the state is currently 42nd in starting teacher pay and 49th in per pupil investment, which is about how much a school invests in each student. We spoke to Democratic Lieutenant Governor candidate Rachel Hunt about an hour ago here at the party, and she mentioned the need to increase school funding in North Carolina as well. More can be found on Elon News Network's Election Center. Sending it back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Monica. Josh Stein outlined his vision for North Carolina on the campaign trail. I learned more on what Stein hopes to accomplish as governor. Stein, Democratic candidate for governor of North Carolina, outlined his platform in the Alamance County Democratic Party headquarters. Stein discussed his personal connection to the state and how he plans to promise a brighter future for North Carolinians.
I'm running for governor because I love our home state. And I believe in its promise that if you work hard, where you come from should never limit how far you can go.
Stein has served as Attorney General for the past 8 years and says he's proud of the work he's done.
Whether it's tackling the opioid and fentanyl crisis that has devastated families and communities across North Carolina, by leading the national bipartisan coalition of state attorneys general to take those drug companies to court and winning more than $50 billion.
Stein contrasted his plans for office with Mark Robinson's, the Republican candidate for governor.
The vision of my opponent in this race and the Republican supermajority in the General Assembly is one of division, violence, and hate.
North Carolina is a swing state, and Stein emphasized how votes are critical at both the state and national level.
And because the path to the White House runs right through North Carolina, we have the power to shape the future not only of North Carolina, but this nation and the world.
Abigail Hines, ENN Tonight. Josh Stein's opponent, Mark Robinson, has also been on the road rallying voters. Fiona has what Robinson has to offer.
In a close call, Republican candidates joined Robinson's rally in encouraging their small but mighty crowd to
go Republican all the way from the top to the bottom
on their ballots. But these supporters were most excited to see Mark Robinson.
Mark is going to be here. He's going to be our next governor. That's why I'm here.
We did many rallies with Mark, and like I said, he's just such a great friend and great to be able to help each other get along.
Robinson rolled up onto the speedway and delivered some words of encouragement.
And so, folks, I am telling you, if you have not voted, when you go to the polls, it's time to get there. And when you do, you go and you vote for policies My people.
And with that, Robinson also expressed his feelings about news coverage and biased reporting.
I was actually in Israel, in the war zone, in country, standing with the Jewish people in Israel, taking a huge risk. Very little news coverage. When the CNN story broke, everybody was knocking on my door. When I went to Israel, not one reporter came and knocked on my door and asked me about the things that I saw and experienced there.
Through the ups and downs, Robinson has supporters with unconditional encouragement.
Because I love Mark Robinson and I love Yolanda. I've known them for a long time. They're good people, salt of the earth, and they're good friends of ours.
It's a great day. You know, it's been a long, grueling campaign for everybody. Mark Robinson's a great friend of mine.
I needed to make sure that my vote was going to be in there and count to get the people I want. Mark.
Fiona McAllister, ENN Tonight.
Join us again in just 30 minutes as we continue our live coverage of tonight's election. We'll have more of the latest results, analysis, and in-the-field reporting. Stay with ENN's Election Center. We'll be right back. This evening on ENN Tonight, the race to the White House between Democratic candidate Kamala Harris and Republican candidate Donald Trump. 270 votes are needed to win.
We have an opportunity in this election to turn the page on a decade of Donald Trump trying to keep us divided and afraid of each other. We're done with that. We're done.
But on Tuesday, you have to stand up and tell Harris that you've had enough. You can't take it anymore. You're the worst vice president in the history of our country.
ENN's Fiona McAllister has the presidential race updates for you tonight. Our Charlotte Fabi will update you on local elections from the Board of Education all the way to the Alamance County Board of Commissioners. And Abby Gravely will interview live guests and give social media recaps. With several reporters in the field, we will update you all night long. It all starts right now. Welcome back to ENN's Election Center, bringing you the latest on the 2024 election night. I'm Abigail Hines. Thank you for tuning in. This just in, Democrat Josh Stein is leading the race for North Carolina governor with 74.8% of the vote. However, votes are still being counted. Some major news outlets, such as Fox News, have declared Stein as the clear winner for the governor race. We are now sending it to Monica Jurevicius, who is at the Josh Stein watch party.
Hey guys, as you can see behind me, we've had a lot more people show up, and it was just announced that Josh Stein has won North Carolina as governor. We've had a lot of whooping, a lot of cheering, and everyone's just really excited to now hear this. You can see in the back that MSNBC is playing, and that's where we found out that this has happened. Now everyone is also having some refreshments, and we're just waiting to see what else will come of the night. There's a stage behind me with the North Carolina flag, where we assume Josh Stein will come up and any other Democratic candidates. There is a possibility that Governor Roy Cooper may show up. We are not sure yet, but we're looking around. Everyone is filming, everyone is hugging, everyone is decked out in USA gear, and there are still more people coming in, and we're excited to get more updates out throughout the night. Sending it back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Monica. We have a correction for the stats for the governor's race. We apologize for the graphic. However, Republican North Carolina governor candidate Mark Robinson is trailing at 37.73% of votes tallied. It's important to keep in mind that ballots are still being counted. Now sending it to Nia Bedard.
We're gonna put you out there. My interview's right here. I don't know if you're ready for you guys. I'm screaming honestly what I'm gonna say.
Thank you at the desk. I apologize for the technical difficulties. NBC News is now reporting that Josh Stein is the projected winner of the North Carolina governorship. The current watch party here in Raleigh is remaining optimistic, saying that the race is still too early to call of the votes, with only around 9 to 10% of the votes in North Carolina being counted, and we have no voting data yet from Alamance County. Again, watch party attendees are remaining optimistic about Robinson pulling ahead and securing the governorship, saying that not every vote has been counted yet, and they're waiting until the Board of Elections calls it themselves rather than any news outlet. Other than that, there are very few attendees here present inside the watch party. The rest are in the other room adjacent, and we have heard no appearance of Mark Robinson coming out. He has made, as of right now, he has made no appearance in regards to a speech about his secession from the governor race. We are still waiting for more word from Robinson and for more updates here, but as of now, nothing else here at the desk. I have nothing. But yes, the vibe is very quiet here. Very, very few people present.
Thank you for the update, Nia. And Charlotte has the current updates of state and local elections. Charlotte?
Yeah, thanks, Abby. So far, Democratic candidate Braxton Winston II is leading the race for Commissioner of Labor with 52.0% 51.2% of votes, and Luke Farley has 47.49% of votes so far as well. The Commissioner of Labor oversees the North Carolina Department of Labor, which manages workplace safety, training, and regulatory policies. Braxton Winston, a former Charlotte City Council member and Mayor Pro Tem, advocates for higher wages, improved worker safety, and expanded access to health care, childcare, and housing. Winston's platform also includes addressing food deserts, areas where it is difficult to buy affordable or good quality fresh food, and the digital divide to ensure that economic growth benefits all North Carolinians. Now for the race for North Carolina Commissioner of Agriculture, Democrat Sarah Tabor is leading the race with 50.22% of votes counted so far. Incumbent Steve Troxler has 47.91% of votes. Agriculture remains a vital part of the North Carolina economy, and the commissioner's primary role is to maintain, protect, and enhance the state's ability to produce an adequate supply of food and fiber while overseeing regulatory programs like that ensure the safety and welfare of North Carolinians. And for the Superintendent of Public Instruction, Democrat Mo Green is leading with 56.32% of the votes, and Michelle Morrow has 43.68% of the votes counted so far. Green's platform focuses on improving public education by investing in resources for teachers, enhancing student support systems, and addressing the challenges facing North Carolina's rapidly growing and diverse school population. Now back to you at the desk.
Thanks for the update, Charlotte. ENN's Nolan Williams conducted a focus group where participants volunteered to share their opinions on this year's election season. The session gained insights into the perspectives and concerns of engaged voters.
I sat down with 3 students to talk about their top issues and policies they would like candidates to focus on. Now, let's take a look. One word, describe this election.
Chaotic. Stressful. Complicated.
You said chaotic, Gabby. Could you explain a little bit about that?
I just think it's a little chaotic. Well, because originally Joe Biden was the original candidate, and then he dropped out, and instead his vice president, Kamala, came into the picture. So it's been a little chaotic, especially about policies between both the Democratic and Republican side.
What would you say is the most important issue to you in this election?
I think there are a lot of important issues, but I think I would probably have to go for the abortion, policies for each candidate.
I was going to say abortion rights as well as a woman, but I guess to bring something else into it, I will say the border.
Definitely abortion, international policy, and racial and ethnic inequality.
Well, none of you said the economy, but most polls, when we're polling American voters as a whole, they usually say the economy is their top issue. Does the economy play a part in your voting decision this election?
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
And what way? What way are we looking at the economy?
Inflation, definitely.
Yeah.
I personally don't think I want to be paying a lot of money for a house when that time comes.
Yeah. I was going to say the future as well. When I'm ready to have a house and live on my own, I don't want to have that big, mortgage. I don't really know much about owning houses, but I don't want to go in debt or, I'd feel to live on my own eventually.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say much, but I think it definitely plays a big part. Definitely in the future would play a major role.
Is there anything specific that you want to see from candidates or any policy decision in regards to international relations?
Just who's going to most help humanity, not so much just war and just support that. Just bring peace and bring everybody to where they belong and home,
Yeah, same thing. Just whoever is most likely going to just get everybody who is, because I know there are captives right now and it's horrific and those family members just want their family home.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing for me is family's a big part of my life and I sympathize for those people because not having a family member, not knowing what's going on in their life is absolutely horrifying.
The North Carolina State Senate District 25 and the North Carolina House of Representatives District 63 and 64 have 2 candidates campaigning. The U.S. House of Representatives District 9 has 3 candidates. ENN's Fiona McAllister is back in the studio to talk about 2 of their campaigns.
Thanks, Abigail. With some votes counted, we're currently seeing the Attorney General ballots having some numbers come in. Let's take a look. Oh, sorry, 1 second. And right now we're seeing 2.22% of precincts reporting, with Jeff Jackson in the lead. Jeff Jackson is currently leading with 55.14%, and Dan Bishop right behind him with 44.86%. Jackson is leading with this ballot still being counted, and we're only seeing 2.2% of precincts reported. So that's just a reminder, ballots are still being counted. And now for just a little bit of a presidential update. So right now we're seeing Kentucky, West Virginia, Florida, and the swing state of Georgia leaning just a little bit red. Now these states only have a small percentage of ballots being counted, but Georgia has around 36 of votes counted and shows a lead for former President Donald Trump right now. Throwing over to North Carolina, only around 8% of ballots have rolled in, but it's a little blue as of right now, leaning more Democratic to Kamala Harris. Reminder, ballots are still being counted, and many things could change in the next few minutes. That's all I have for you right now. Back to you, Abigail. Thanks.
Let's check in with ENN's Evan Cooper, who's at Elon's campus watch party held in Global Commons. Evan, how many students have arrived so far?
Thanks, Abigail. I'm here in Global Commons for the Election Watch Party. This event is being sponsored by the Turnout Center, Elon Votes, Student Government Association, Council on Civic Engagement, Elon Political Engagement Work Group. Elon Votes has also held watch parties for the presidential debate and vice presidential debates. NBC News Now is currently the broadcast being played, and NBC News Now is hosted by Lester Holt and Savannah Guthrie. About 55 students are here in Global Commons tonight, and currently the count is 35 to 95, with Trump in the lead. Key swing states like Georgia, Virginia, and North Carolina have closed their polls, but votes are still being counted, so it's too early to call anything. The current system calling those votes is the Associated Press, as its system is based on reported votes and not predictions or forecasts. Elon students are welcome to come to Global Commons to watch the results come in. Thanks, and back to you in the studio.
We'll check in with Evan later on in the night to hear from a student at the watch party. We are now checking in with ENN's Abby Gravely, who is interviewing Assistant Professor of Journalism Israel Balderas, who has been actively reporting in North Carolina for multiple news stations tonight.
Thanks, Abigail. Thank you so much for coming in, Professor Balderas.
Of course.
So you've been out in the field tonight reporting on the elections here in North Carolina.
Yes.
What all have you been seeing?
A couple of things. Number one, I'm very surprised at the voter turnout in blue counties, especially in western North Carolina. In western North Carolina, the numbers were very favorable for red counties. 58% of those in the voter turnout turned out in early voting. But tonight we're seeing high turnout in App State, which is Watauga County, Buncombe County, which is Asheville, 2 blue counties in North Carolina, high voter turnout. We're also seeing high voter turnout in Durham County, which is where Duke University. What that tells me is that the vote that I early on called the Taylor Swift vote, right? The college students that were going to be motivated, from a youth perspective, those individuals are turning out today. And so therefore that turnout sort of bodes well for Kamala Harris.
Yeah, definitely. And then have you seen that or indications of that kind of turnout here at Elon with the college student vote?
Well, earlier this morning I was reporting from the Gubernatorial Center, Senior Center in Burlington. What I saw was a lot of older folks, mix, African American voters, white voters. So to me, I think in the morning time, I saw, say, Gen X and Boomers voting, whereas college students, 18 to 25, probably voted in the afternoon and evening. When I start looking at the numbers, what I'm going to look at is which voters were, highly motivated to vote based on what they were seeing in the news.
Yeah, and you said this youth vote bodes well for Kamala Harris, and we know that in 2020, Trump only won North Carolina by 1.3
That's right.
Points. Can you talk a little bit about how you think that young vote will affect North Carolina and the election as a whole?
Yeah, I think when you look at the data, right, that vote 18 to 25, about 60% were tilting towards Harris. If Harris is able to motivate that age group, 18 to 25, certainly those would be good numbers for her. Biden in 2020 didn't have a strong showing for the voters 18 to 25 as we're seeing now. So certainly that's going to tilt for Harris. However, what I would say is Trump did win North Carolina correctly in 2020 because we had the suburbs, right? And we had the rural areas. So what I'm going to be looking at is not only the western counties that were impacted by Hurricane Helene, but I'm looking at places like Alamance County. I'm looking at places like Catawba, right? These are not, they're close to the suburbs, but they're far enough to see, would those voters be motivated?
Awesome. Yeah, that's definitely something that we're going to want to be looking at.
For sure.
Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you for having me tonight, and good luck.
Thank you.
Vice presidential nominee and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz has been making stops all around the country to campaign for Kamala Harris. Last week, I had the opportunity to follow alongside Walz during his stop in Greensboro, North Carolina. Since the beginning of election season, vice presidential nominee Tim Walz has been asking America to do one thing: vote. Campaigning on behalf of Kamala Harris, Walz has been all around the country, from Arizona to Pennsylvania. Over the past month, Walz has made multiple stops to the state of North Carolina, with his most recent in Greensboro and Asheville.
Millions of people around the world could not imagine gathering freely and deciding how you're going to vote. And in this election, I don't think you could find a bigger contrast. I don't think you could find a bigger contrast of a hopeful, visionary future for a new way forward and a better tomorrow versus a backward lead from one.
North Carolina is a top target for the Harris-Walz campaign. During both the 2016 and 2020 elections, former President Donald Trump won the state. And in 2020, the race was close, with Trump winning around 75,000 votes. As both campaigns look to win North Carolina's 16 electoral votes, Walz says he believes voters can turn North Carolina blue.
That's why the sense of urgency you have around issues and electing people to get things done, somebody like Kamala Harris understands that. She knows how to work together. She knows how to solve the issues. And that is in a direct contrast to what we're seeing from Donald Trump.
But they first need to get out and vote.
I fear that the cynicism that Donald Trump sows gets people thinking like, I'm just not going to vote, it doesn't matter, we can't solve all the problems today, so what difference does it make? And I hear this from people all the time, I'm just not into politics. My answer, I hope your answer to them, is too damn bad. Politics is into you.
Charlotte Fobby, ENN Tonight. After leaving Greensboro, Walz traveled to Asheville, where he commended the resilience of those local communities in the wake of Hurricane Helene and their plans for recovery. Republican vice presidential nominee J.D. Vance has also visited North Carolina. However, Elon News Network was unable to attend those events.
Alamance County Republicans and Alamance County Democrats watch parties in full swing. Our Kathan Gandhi and Mackenzie Cruz have the latest on what is happening. Kathan, how's the event going?
Yeah, thanks, Abigail. I'm still outside the Alamance County GOP election watch party right now. And let me tell you, since I last called, things have really, let's throw it to the turn it up a notch. At first, there were only 5 to 6 cars that were parked at the event, but I'll tell you in the last few minutes, at least 10 or so have piled in. There's a lot of excitement that feels like that it's generating around here, and it feels like most of that excitement is off the back of former President Donald J. Trump. There were multiple Trump signs pinned outside the building of the Alamance GOP headquarters, which we visited earlier. There's a bunch of signs around here, too, and there's even a sign back at that headquarters asking visitors to no longer request their own Trump signs because the headquarters had no more to give out. Just as much as there's been an emphasis placed on national races, there's definitely been a lot of focus on these local races as well, such as the County Commissioners Board. That may be candidates like Ed Priola, a first-timer, running focused on local business, financing law enforcement, and even revamping the Alamance Burlington school system, or other candidates, too, like John Paisley Jr., who's also focused on increasing spending on the school system, sheriff's department, and emergency services as well, too. As the numbers for these races continue to trickle in, it's going to be very interesting to see how all these races play out. And I think it's safe to assume that the Alamance GOP party is keeping a close eye on all of these things as well. I'm Kathan Gandhi reporting from the outside of the Alamance County GOP Watch Party. Now let's kick it over to Mackenzie Cruz.
I'm here live here in downtown Burlington. As you can see, everyone's wearing a color here. Polls close at 7:30 in North Carolina, so as you can see, there are more and more attendees showing up. The polls are almost full right now. So far, we've seen candidates show up here, such as Brian Norris for Alamance County District Court Seat 1, Seneca Rogers for Alamance County School Systems Board of Ed, and Tamika Harvey for the position. The host of this event, Alamance County Democratic Party, has had canvassing volunteers from all over the state, such as UNC Young Democrats, to people from Maryland and Colorado, and even international. They had 6 volunteers from the United Kingdom earlier this week. They even had people from the Harris Walls campaign help canvass, and some of them are here tonight. Volunteer Elizabeth Osborne said that the ACDP has sent out around 10,000 postcards to reach out to Alamance County. Osborne also said sign distribution has been a big effort. I'm here with Tamika Harvey, who is running for the Alamance Burlington School System Board of Education. Tamika, what does it mean for you to be at the Democratic Watch Party tonight here in Burlington?
It just means a lot. This is my first time ever being at a Democratic Watch Party. This is my first time ever. So excited, nervous, anxious, and the normal, I guess, if you were running for a school board.
Yes, of course. And what do you think are the main issues you'll tackle if you are elected?
So I just believe in advocating and making sure that we're at.
We apologize for cutting out early. We are experiencing technical difficulties. Early voting on Elon's campus had extreme wait times this year. ENN's Abby Gravely has more on why this may have happened.
I'm super excited to be voting in this election this year. I feel very strongly about the opportunity to vote for a woman, a Black woman.
Rhiannon Benesh was just one of over 4.2 million voters in North Carolina who cast their ballots early. And Patty Temples has served as a poll greeter for 5 election cycles and says she has never seen an early voting period like this one.
I've been involved since first with Hillary Clinton and then Obama twice, and even though it was really good during Obama's presidency, I've never seen a turnout so far like this one.
When early voting locations closed on November 2nd, about 57% of eligible voters in Alamance County had cast ballots, according to the North Carolina State Board of Elections. This high turnout has created multi-hour wait times, though Temple says she doesn't think voters were deterred.
Not this year. I really don't, because I think people understand the gravity of the situation, and they're willing to do whatever part they can do to save our democracy.
For many individuals, such as Benesh, voting early came from a desire to spare resources for those still undecided.
When you cast an early ballot, it gets ticked off the list, so your party will not waste their resources. The door knockers will not come to your house, so those resources can be directed to undecided voters and help pull in more people and encourage more people to come and vote.
Abby Gravely, ENN Tonight.
Fiona, have there been any updates on our presidential candidates?
Yeah, Abby, the race to the White House is still continuing. So right now we're seeing North Carolina with a little bit of blue. We're seeing that compared to last year, it was a little bit red, but even with the electoral votes up, Trump is currently leading with 101 and Harris right behind in 49. Right now, the number to watch is 270 with 538 electoral votes in all. Count that right in half, 269. We're looking for that one more. All right, right now we're also seeing Georgia, another swing state, turning a little bit red. These are all just very light colors, even though it's looking a little dark on the screen. Mind you, all the votes are still coming in. We're seeing a lot more red continuing to kind of come across the East Coast right now. West Coast is still counting their ballots, but so are we. So we're going to keep watching out for that number. All right, throwing it back a little to the 2020 election, over across the board, there was a little bit more blue, especially right over here within our swing state of Pennsylvania. But right now in North Carolina, we're seeing a little bit of red, but in 2020, there was a little bit. Right now in North Carolina, we're seeing a little bit of blue, but in 2020, we were seeing a little bit more red. But along with Georgia, we're also seeing more blue here, but right now we're seeing a little bit more red. So we're continuing to count the ballots, and the presidential election is still going on, and the race to White House is still continuing. So watch out for those numbers. That's all I have for you. Thanks. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Fiona. ENN's Election Center has many moving parts on election night. Our team of over 30 students are working to give you the updates you need. Abby Gravely is going to give us a tour of the newsroom during this time. Abby, what's going on in there?
Thanks, Abigail. Welcome to the Elon News Network newsroom, where we have reporters currently hard at work getting this election show up and running. We also have our live blog that's been going on all day at elonnewsnetwork.com, as well as a new issue of The Pendulum, which is coming out tomorrow. I'm here with Ryan Kupperman, managing editor of the website. How are you doing, Ryan?
I'm good, thank you.
Yeah. How has tonight been going at the ENN Election Center?
Well, a little crazy, Abby. We've been in here since 7:30 in the morning, getting reporters out to polling locations, getting reporters on the phone with local candidates. We're obviously trying to target our local county of Alamance because a lot of those local races, we're the only ones covering them. But we've also been able to get in touch with quite a few candidates, including Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson and candidate for Superintendent of Public Instruction, Mo Green.
Awesome. And what all did ENN do to prepare for tonight?
What didn't we do? We have been creating data visualizations, having those ready to go for when races are called, putting those up on the website. We've been contacting candidates ahead of time to ensure that we could get a hold of them today, because today's a very busy day for all of us. And all in all, just doing a lot of research and seeing what other both collegiate and professional news media have been doing, so we can both push the bounds and stay afloat with the other coverage that's happening tonight.
Yeah, definitely. And then why do you think it's important for student journalists to be covering elections like this?
Because history is being made, right? We get to be on the forefront and the cusp of a very important time in our nation, in our state, in our county, and our town, right? So anytime we can be involved with that and help educate our fellow students, our fellow community members, I think that's the most important thing that we can do.
Yeah. Thank you so much for talking to me, Ryan, and thank you for visiting the newsroom. Back to you at the studio.
Thanks for the tour, Abby. Charlotte, have we seen any results in local elections yet?
Thanks, Abigail. Another important election for Alamance County is the Alamance County Soil and Water Conservation District Supervisor. The main duties of this position are to provide direction on the best ways to protect and improve natural resources. The Board of Supervisors meets to establish local soil and water conservation priorities based on the needs of the county. Currently, there is one open seat for the Board of Supervisors. The board consists of 3 elected members and 2 appointed members total. And with this upcoming election offering voters a chance to weigh in on the future of the county's environmental management. The 2 candidates running for the district for district supervisor are David Michael Spurl and Andrew Carroll. Carroll is an earth and environmental science teacher at Southern Alamance High School. His campaign focuses on community and education and preserving the county's natural resources. For future generations, Carroll's platform also centers on the importance of clean water access, something he says is vital for both recreation and local ecology. He aims to support both farmers and local residents by promoting conservation practices that benefit the community as a whole. Running for re-election, David Michael Spurl previously served as a soil and water supervisor for 8 years. Spurl is a strong advocate for agriculture and environmental conservation. His platform also stresses the importance of educating young people about the role of agriculture plays in the county's economy and environment. He says he's committed to visiting local farms to provide educational outreach on topics such as soil health, farming practices, and sustainable farming techniques, including the role of bees and chickens and ecological balance. That's all I have for you. Now back to you at the desk.
As the night is getting later and later, let's throw it back a little to see how students are feeling about this election. Happy Election Day, everybody. It's me, Fiona McAllister, and right now I'll be taking a walk around Elon to see what students are feeling about the election and what they're looking forward to most. Now, let's go take a look. So how are you feeling about the election?
I'm not even gonna lie, I'm pretty nervous. Feeling a little nervous I'm honestly a little nervous.
Do you know who you're voting for?
I do indeed know who I'm voting for.
Are you comfortable sharing that?
Yeah, I'm voting for Kamala Harris. I voted for Kamala.
I think that my views better align with her, and
I feel like her values most align with mine.
I'm a Republican. I'm voting for Trump.
Obviously, I do know who I voted for, but I'm going to keep it to myself.
I didn't vote independent, but I did vote for somebody.
What is most important to you?
Yeah, so I'm 50% Hispanic, and so immigration is super important to me.
I'm an elementary ed major, so when I was looking at who to vote for, I looked a lot at their education policy.
To be honest, I haven't done that much of a deep dive into it.
I don't know necessarily. It's a very subjective question you've asked me.
policies that align with protecting women's rights.
Definitely the tax credit. I know that in our economy is not doing too hot right now.
As you can see, that's a lot to look forward to and a lot to think about. I'm Fiona McAllister, and you're watching ENN Tonight.
And an interview with a student that thinks Elon's campus should be more politically active. We'll be right back.
And I'll have a live update on what's happening on social media since the polls closed.
You can take Link Transit to Burlington, Graham, Mebane, Gibsonville, or within Elon. Elon University students and staff can ride Link Transit for free after showing an Elon ID. Blue Route 3 comes by every 90 minutes Monday through Friday with certain hours on Saturdays. And for more information on Link Transit, please call 336-222-5465 or visit the Link Transit website.
Whether it's our stories, the warmth of our laugh, or our family's secret sauce, we all bring something different to the table. So make some space. The power of connection is waiting right outside your comfort zone. Learn how you can help strengthen your community at belongingbeginswithus.org/teamup.
There's only one thing that will save somebody's life, and that is naloxone nasal spray. Get 911 on the phone, get the emergency responses there on their way.
Once Upon a Time is right now. Escape to the Renaissance Festival, a time-traveling adventure. Saturdays and Sundays, October 5th through November 24th. There's music, comedy, circus entertainments, jousting, nights, the living mermaids, and a feast all rolled into a non-stop outdoor family adventure. Tickets limited while supplies last. Online only at renfestinfo.com.
Hate is loud, but love is the majority.
With 17.83% of precincts reported, Democrat Josh Stein continues to be in the lead with 53.18%, while Republican Robinson trails at 42.18%. Democrat Rachel Hunt is now trailing behind Republican Hal Weatherman at 47.86%, while Weatherman is leading with 49.59%. Republican Jefferson Griffin, who is now leading at 51.77% for the NC Supreme Court Associate Justice seat 6, while Democrat Allison Riggs is behind by 48.23% against him. As of right now, Elaine Marshall is trailing the race for North Carolina Secretary of State at 49.08%, while Chad Brown is leading by 50.92%. Fiona, who's running for North Carolina Attorney General in North Carolina State Senate District 25, and how they campaign?
Right, well, there's not many updates for you right now on those, but Attorney General is in the lead with, it was Jeff Jackson previously who's in the lead, who's running for the Democratic spot. But right now we have a little bit more updates on the presidential election. So right over here, we're seeing this state turn a little bit blue, a little bit red. It's kind of going back and forth, but now North Carolina is leaning a little bit more red. You'll see that. Harris is currently up with 71 electoral votes. Trump's still at 101. So we'll be seeing those votes counted a little bit more in. We're seeing Maine over here turn just a little bit red as their percents are slowly trickling in with their votes. Right up here, it's a little bit red. North Carolina, obviously, there too. Georgia, most of the swing states are kind of going both ways. It depends on where their votes are coming in. Every minute, every second, every vote is being counted, and we'll have more updates for you right after this.
Thanks, Fiona. This year, Elon Votes and the Coronado Center for Civic Life have tried to engage students in political events to increase the percentage of student voters. ENN's Angelina Fantaroni has more on if these events have made an impact.
Being a nonpartisan organization, Elon Votes held 20 election-related events this fall.
Walking into the presidential debate downstairs in Mosley, I've never seen that space so packed. It was in part horrifying because we needed to go get more pizza, but also really exciting that this many students were interested and engaged.
The organization had close to 35 civic engagement ambassadors, working the events and even helping students register to vote.
And so those students have been really busy staffing the Elon Votes office downstairs here in the Mosley Center, as well as a variety of weekly voter registration and absentee ballot events we've had around campus.
According to data from the National Study of Learning, Voting, and Engagement, Elon's voter rate was 25% for the 2018 midterms, when the average voter rate for all institutions was 30.6%.
We took a look at our student voting data from 4 years ago. We took a look at the fact that sometimes students in the business school, sometimes students in the sciences and the communications school are underrepresented in terms of voters.
Members of Elon's Democracy Dialogue Collaborative, a group focused on civic engagement, think students may not vote because they haven't been involved in politics before.
If you live in a society, then you are well equipped to engage in politics. So I think that's one barrier to overcome, is the assumption that you have to be an expert to be able to be involved in politics.
Angelina Fantaroni, ENN Tonight.
Civic engagement events won't stop after the election. The first post-election event will be held tomorrow and is a post-election processing space. Next week, on Tuesday, there will be a panel discussing the results at 4:30 p.m. in East Commons. ENN's Evan Cooper is still live at the on-campus watch party held in Global Commons. Evan, who do you have with you?
Thanks, Abigail. I'm here with Lindsay and Allison, co-coordinator and director of outreach for Elon Votes, respectively. So tell me, what sort of preparation went into this event for the watch party tonight?
Yeah, so we've been planning this event basically all semester to make sure we had all the aspects in place, good food, good company, good activities, made sure it was a really welcoming space for everyone on campus.
Along the welcoming part, we really made sure to make a community agreement. So you'll notice around the building we have a set of ground rules, so make sure people are being respectful of everybody, listen to other opinions, all of those things that make these kinds of spaces work.
Right. How have you been feeling throughout this election season?
It's really exciting to see the turnout and excitement here at Elon University. The amount of people we've talked to who are really excited to vote and be first-time voters is really, really inspiring.
I think we're also really hopeful about our voting site too, so we've had people show up to that, so that was really inspiring for us and really validated a lot of the work that we've been doing.
Right. Is the atmosphere here what you were expecting for tonight?
Yes, I think it's great. We love the conversation and collaboration community here.
Absolutely, yeah, this is exactly what we hope for.
All right. And what advice do you have for students going into this election season?
I think just making sure that they are able to be communicative with their friends and also just hold space and have great time.
Absolutely, I agree with all of that. This has really gone the best that we can imagine, so we're really excited.
Thank you, girls. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Evan. With the polls closing just an hour ago, Abby Gravely has live reactions from people on social media. Abby, what's being posted right now?
Thanks, Abigail. Things have been pretty quiet since polls closed. with a lot of politicians and candidates just reminding people to go vote, and a lot of voters expressing their concern for the outcomes of this election as results roll in. We also are seeing a post from Josh Stein just a few minutes ago after his race was called, inviting audience members to join him live in Raleigh as he talks about the results of the election. We also have posts from Donald Trump reminding a Pennsylvania county that polling hours have been extended and encouraging individuals to go vote there. We're seeing reposts of encouragement for voters and expressing areas where time is still left, and more reminders that if you are in line before the polls close, you can stay in line, and that is particularly relevant to those areas that have not yet closed polls in the western sections of the country. Scrolling down more, we're seeing videos from candidates, as well as result videos from news and reposts from candidates such as Jill Stein, who reposted a clip from The Simpsons. That's all I have for you for now. Now back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Abby. When it comes to political activity on campus, one Elon Jr., Noelle Vaught, finds her peers a little less proactive. Our Fiona McAllister, who's been bringing you updates on the presidential race, did an exclusive interview with this student who's currently abroad, following up on her actions of using the First Amendment.
Vaught stood at the Speaker's Corner, a place for student activism right outside of the Mosley Center, holding an upside-down American flag written with the words, "There is no flag large enough to cover up the shame of killing innocent people."
Now, to recap from last year, I just have a couple questions written down. I remember first time I interviewed you, you were telling me that you thought students are politically sleepwalking. Do you still think that way?
I do still believe this generally. I mean, I will say that, like, I've looked at, like, some early voting numbers, and, like, younger people who tend to be students have voted more in, like, the early voting, like, stages than they have in the past, but it's still, like, a very, very small number.
I feel like students here aren't politically active enough. I don't think that students here, you know, like, partially due to it being such a small school, are brave enough, like, you know, to express how they feel.
I remember what you did standing at the Speaker's Corner was like a really huge thing that Elon has maybe never really seen before in the past years that you and I have been here. What prompted you to do that in the first place?
It was kind of a mixture of passion and spontaneity. It wasn't like, obviously, like, I went through like the whole process of like getting the things that I needed to do it with, but it was in all actuality extremely spontaneous. Like, I just decided to do it one day. There wasn't really any like planning put into it.
I would not say that I'm a very patriotic person. I feel like that's pretty obvious, you know? But like, the one thing I do appreciate about this country is that we, at the very least, for now, have freedom of speech here.
I mean, one of my last questions is, would you have any suggestions for students or the university to become more politically active on campus?
I do really think that it's like important for general people to like be at least like aware of politics, because like even if like, I mean, I generally hold the position that like even if you don't care about politics, politics still cares about you, and that it does affect you even if you don't really take it into consideration.
And with the upcoming election, Vaught says it's important to cast your ballot. Fiona McAllister, ENN Tonight.
More numbers are rolling in as ballots are being counted for local elections. Charlotte, what can you tell us?
Thanks, Abigail. Just in, the governor race with Josh Stein and Mark Robinson has been called, with Josh Stein winning the race. He is at 51.51% and Mark Robinson is at 43.77% with the ENN projection. The race for North Carolina's Superintendent of Public Instruction is shaking up to be a key contest in the 2024 election, with the two candidates offering differing visions for the future of the state's public school system. Mo Green, a Democrat, has extensive experience in education and leadership. He served as state superintendent of Guilford County Schools, the third largest district in the state, where he oversaw a district with more than 70,000 students. Green also worked as a school board attorney and as the chief executive of a foundation that provides grants supporting public education. His platform focuses on improving public education by investing in resources for teachers, enhancing student support systems, and addressing the challenges facing North Carolina's rapidly growing and diverse school population. Green's experience leading a large school district gives him insight into the needs of students, parents, and educators across the state. On the other side, Michelle Morrow, a Republican, brings a more grassroots perspective to the race. Morrow has experienced homeschooling several of her own children and later became involved in teaching coalitions to assist other families in need of alternative education options. She is a strong advocate for school choice and parental involvement in education, believing that families should have greater control over how and where their children are educated. Morrow's platform also focuses on improving access to homeschooling resources and ensuring that public schools are held accountable for student outcomes. With 21.07% of precincts accounted for, Michelle Morrow is leading the race with 50.04%, and Mo Green trails at 47.96% of votes. In addition, for Commissioner of Labor, Republican Luke Farley is leading at 55.58% of votes, and Braxton Winston II trails at 44.42%. Commissioner of Agriculture Next for the Commissioner of Agriculture, Republican Steve Troxler, and incumbent, is leading with 55.10% of votes, and Democratic candidate Sarah Tabor is falling at 42.65% of the votes. That's all I have for you. Now back to you at the desk.
With the numbers coming in, the presidential map is looking a little more colorful. Now let's throw it over to Fiona McAllister for a final look into how this race is coming. Can you tell us what you're seeing so far, Fiona?
16 electoral votes in North Carolina. We're going to be focusing. I just got some numbers in, and right now the precincts have been about 25.28% counted, ballots 20.15%, with Harris in 44.43%, with Donald Trump in the lead with 54.34%. Now to look at the map, we can take a look at North Carolina, see it's looking a little more red because of Donald Trump's 54% of ballots being counted. So in the swing states, they're still looking similar. Pennsylvania blue, Georgia in red compared to previous elections, but North Carolina, we're seeing just a little bit more red, and we're still counting those ballots. So across the board, we'll be seeing this all colorful in hopefully just a couple days. Now that's all I have for you. Thanks. Now back to you at the desk, Abigail.
Thanks, Fiona. Well, that's all we have for you tonight on ENN's Election Center. For races that have not been called yet and post-election coverage, keep up to date with our website, elonnewsnetwork.com, and be sure to follow us on social media at Elon News Network. Have a great night, Elon.